Hi, I'm Josh Campbell, CEO of Worth Media, here at the beautiful One Club at One Wall Street. I just had the opportunity to sit down with McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown to talk about Formula One, McLaren, and the intersection of business, finance, innovation, and impact. What do you think as CEO of a racing team and your past history of sports marketing that other leaders in other industries could learn from what's happening in the sport?
Oh, good question. I'm more interested in learning from other leaders so we can continue to have a great racing team. But I think in our instance, it all starts with knowing who's our ultimate customer, and that's the race fan. And without awesome race fans around the world, we don't have big media broadcasts. We don't have countries that want to host races. We don't have the great sponsors that we have. So I think, we have a lot of audiences and a lot of customers, but for us, it starts with the fan. And so we try and be a very inclusive racing team. We're fortunate to have two awesome drivers, in Lando and Oscar, who are two of the most popular drivers in Formula One. We're fortunate to have a great historical brand now back again after 26 years at the top of the tree, which is great, and fighting hard to continue to try and stay there for as long as possible. But I think it's the fan. And so I think any CEO running any business, know your customer, know your customers, and make sure, in our business, we're in the sport and entertainment business, which I consider very much to be one and the same. Some people see sport and entertainment differently, which I don't quite understand. You sit down on the couch or you go to a race and it's to be entertained via sport. So I think knowing your customer is fundamental to any business.
And you mentioned customers, right? So you have, in theory, you have the race fan and you do have the brands, right? You have the sponsors, the brands that are looking to leverage the platform to engage with potentially their customers. Talk about your background in sports marketing and what you've brought to the McLaren team on how you work with partners to really give them the opportunity to, again, leverage not only the McLaren fan base, but use the IP and the brand to further their own marketing initiatives.
Yeah, all of our sponsor partners, some of them have similar goals, some of them have different goals, some have overlap, some don't. And it's really about understanding with our corporate partners, where are they trying to take their business? Forget about McLaren for the moment, forget about Formula One or IndyCar or World Endurance Racing. What are you trying to do? You're trying to build a brand. Are you trying to get new customers? Are you trying to develop technology? Are you trying to create case studies so you can tell the world about your technology, whatever the case may be? And so it really starts with developing a business plan with our partners that's off the back of just where are you trying to take your business? And then once we understand that, is that a geographic thing? Is that customer engagement? Is that story? And a lot of the times, again, there's some similarities and certainly some differences. We then look within the McLaren ecosystem of racing activities. We've got our Formula One team. We have our IndyCar team in North America. We're soon to get into the World Endurance Championship, which is all about Le Mans, our automotive brand, and develop a program based upon what we think we can do to help them reach their goals and objectives. So we have partners all different shapes and sizes because they have different goals and objectives. And so back after I stopped racing, I started a motorsports agency because I felt there were right sellers, racing teams, buy this logo here, buy some hospitality, but they weren't that into the detail of what the partner needed. And then you had the partner side going, here's what I'm trying to do with my business. And they weren't necessarily all that experienced on how they could leverage. So I created an agency, which was to kind of bridge the gap of, all right, we understand racing. I'm trying to understand from you, from your business, what are you trying to do? And go, that's what you're trying to do. I think you should be in Formula One. I think you should be with McLaren. I think you should be with Ferrari, whoever it may be. And so we have very much taken that approach and have effectively an in-house agency that kind of replicates, which is focused on what does the partner need? And let's focus on that delivery. And then the size and shape takes care of itself as opposed to trying to sell stuff. And I know that kind of doesn't seem like what's the difference between the two, but it's about listening to the partner and understanding what they're trying to do. And we're much more interested in the long game and longevity. This year, we're celebrating 20 years with Hilton. That's what we're interested in, is long-term partnerships.
And right, when you use the word partner, it's not just a sponsorship. People think about sponsors and, to your point, branding and logo. Partnerships are about kind of finding mutual benefit. When we talk about innovation, we see a lot of companies, and I know you partner with some innovation companies that are actually core to data or AI actually being used by the team, right? So it's not only about what they could get, it's what you could get from technology. When you think about tech, digital twin, AI, all the data that's happening, what excites you most on the innovation side? And where do you see it going and helping the team?
Kind of all of the above, because a Formula One team, we're innovating in so many different ways. And to be at the front of Formula One, you need to be the best in as many areas as possible. Obviously, AI is the hot topic, and that's something that we find fascinating. We're starting to really use, and I think it's early days, and that can continue to develop. But there's materials and there's data. So all of that is exciting to us because we're in the most technically advanced and sophisticated sport in the world. I think it's pretty fair to say that's a fact. So we look for two things out of our partners: how they can help us go faster, and whether that's new materials, data, or helping us operate more efficiently around HR and financial resources. So there's the whole kind of help us be a better race team on and off the track. And then our consumer brand partners help us get closer to our fans, bring us more fans, help us get even more engaged with our fans, because as we started, it's all about the fan for us. So our partners are both now contributing to us being a faster racing team, whether it's directly, because they're helping us with something that's literally on the race car, whether it's back office support and financial and HR to make, drive our culture, or bit more financial efficiency, which gives us a better race car, or whether it's bringing us more fans, which helps us bring more partners who help put resources in to make us a faster race car. So everything ultimately gets onto the race car directly or indirectly.
You mentioned your drivers. Talk a little about, you look at what Netflix has done for sport in general. Full swing with golf, obviously Drive Survive, in developing the stories, developing the principles, the drivers. How has that intersection of sport and media and entertainment, what you talked about earlier, really driven, no pun intended, the sport into the spotlight here, especially in the U.S.? It's
been amazing, and hats off to Netflix and really Liberty, who I think recognized when they acquired our sport at the end of 2016, recognized how much potential there was in what was already the world's largest annual sporting event. But there was so much more we could do. And I would say the sport used to be very exclusive, kind of look, don't touch, don't look behind the curtain. And what Netflix did is they went, let us show you how the sport works. I think we benefit from only having 20 athletes versus other sports that have hundreds. So it's pretty easy to kind of get to know them all. The team bosses, the teams, so it's a small sport, and there's so much that happens off the track that I don't think people were aware of. And if you look at where we were 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when Liberty acquired us, we needed to grow in North America from a geography standpoint. We needed a more diverse fan base and a larger female following. And then we needed a younger audience. And Netflix and the sport have done a fantastic job. If you look, our fan base is younger, it's more diverse. We've gone from 1 Grand Prix in North America to 3. There would be demand for more, but I think 3 is plenty because we have other parts of the world we need to take care of. And it's just been amazing. And it's now a very inclusive sport. We're showing people how we work, get to know the drivers. How does this sport work? What's the business? What's the politics off the track? What's the competition look like on the track? And I think people have been fascinated. I've always been fascinated with the sport, but that's because I've always kind of been on the inside. And I think Netflix and the Brad Pitt movie is coming up. Who didn't watch Top Gun and want to be a fighter pilot and be Tom Cruise? I know I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And so I think the same thing will happen When that comes out in summer, people will be intrigued and will follow the sport. And it's always been an awesome sport. We just haven't necessarily let people in, and now we are, and the fans have responded in the hundreds of millions.
Right. So I want to talk a little about impact. We believe at Worth that people that have success and influence can make the world a better place. We look at companies and sports. I know sustainability specifically is something that we've been really focused on. How can tech and business accelerate a path towards a more sustainable world? A lot of the research that you're doing, even how you operate as a team, focuses a lot on sustainability. Talk a little about that. I think you're one of the largest purchasers of SAF, but also looking at material science and looking at the oceans. Talk a little about why sustainability and some of the initiatives.
Yeah, it's very important to us, and it's an area that we believe we're leading, and we're happy to lead, but where there's competition in Formula One, leading in sustainability, we want to bring people along on the journey. We want to kind of win at this together, and generally feel like sustainability, you're never going to reach the final destination. It's part of who you are and what you do. And we have pioneered last year a recycled carbon fiber on a race car. We've worked very closely with Deloitte and the FIA to put together kind of a how-to book for the Formula One teams that we've recently shared on how we can pioneer new materials together. We have the most thermal efficient engines in the racing world, power units. We have sustainable fuels. We have great battery technology, which is only increasing next year. A lot of our engineers are working in Australia with the Great Barrier Reef to accelerate performance and restoring the reef. So there's a big part of our technology and know-how that we're working with governments and other companies. We're working with Sanofi in the pharmaceutical industry to help give them the factory of the future. So we look at where we have certain skills and where they're applicable to other businesses to make their world a more sustainable environment. Of course, safety is huge, which then gets deployed within things like race and road cars, around materials and shock absorption, big in the medical business. And then you get into things like mental health. We have a big microphone, a huge audience, and you see someone like Lando Norris where mental health is an important topic to him, be able to talk about it and get people to open up and talk about these topics that maybe they were uncomfortable with. So a lot we're doing in the space, and very exciting. It's something that we like to share.
And finally, you talked about the McLaren race team is across motorsports. Talk a little about that, where it's going and what excites you for, the next couple of years.
Yeah, so at our center of our world, of course, is Formula One. North America is such an important market to the majority of our partners. We have a huge fan base that we entered IndyCar. We acquired an IndyCar team. So no matter how big Formula One gets in North America, we want to have another kind of slice on top of the cake. So we're the most kind of favorite team in North America is the goal. Then we've just announced we're getting into the World Endurance Championship, which at the center of that racing series is the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We're the only team to have ever won the Triple Crown, which is the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Indianapolis 500, and the Monaco Grand Prix. That makes us unique. That makes it very exciting for our partners that we have a large variety of opportunities as people want to. North America is important to me. Sustainability is important to me. Being closer to your automotive business is important to me. Whatever that is, to kind of have a more opportunities. Same thing with our fans. Our fans love that McLaren go racing kind of every weekend. So if there's not a Formula One race this weekend, you can dial into our IndyCar race. So this particular weekend, we're racing both IndyCar and Formula One, which is even that much more exciting. The more racing, the better. So we want to be the commercially the most attractive team to our partners and create diverse opportunities. And we want to be the most exciting racing team to our fans.
Right. Well, Zach, good luck this weekend, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.